Buonasera a tutte e a tutti, grazie per essere qui con noi questo terzo appuntamento in avvicinamento a 3070 Doc Fest, l'unico boutique festival dedicato ai medi documentari di registi under 35 in anteprima italiana. Questo terzo appuntamento, con questo terzo appuntamento arriveremo in contatto con uno dei film più stupefacenti di questa terza edizione di 3070 Doc Fest, un film che viene dalla Colombia, un film di un duo artistico e un film che parla di identità, parla di passato, parla di futuro e capiremo in che tipo di futuro. E per farlo abbiamo qui con noi uno dei due registi, Simon Paetau, che siamo molto contenti di avere. L'intervista sarà condotta in inglese. So, first of all, welcome, Simon, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting the film. I'm very happy for the Italian premiere of Aribada.
We are happy, really happy too. I would like to start this conversation by asking you how the idea of Aribada came to you, and also how do you work with Natalia Escobar, that she could not be here with us, but I was curious about how you interact together in this artistic collaboration.
Yeah, so Natalia and me, we met. It was a very open process. So at the beginning, it wasn't clear that we were going to do a film. It was like an interdisciplinary art project between music, sound, and audiovisual. And so we had a 3-month residency where we wanted to work with the Traviesas. And so all my practice is about decolonizing cinema. So I didn't want it to come to this place with a pre-fixed idea of how it was going to be. So we really, through workshopping with the Traviesas, which is our protagonists, you will see this group of amazing, strong, beautiful trans women who are indigenous trans women who are coffee pickers. So it was really a collaborative process. So for filmmaking, for me, is really decolonizing, deconstructing the idea of the artist genius or the director of this patriarchal figure, but really trying to do a collaborative space where different knowledges can come together and create like a creative tormenta, like a creative storm together.
Yeah, and you mentioned Las Traviesas, and I was curious about how you arrived to them. So and also how was the first touch with them, filming them? I think it was I don't know if it was difficult or maybe easier to be in contact, to enter also with the video camera inside the community.
So Natalia had already the contact with, she knew in a travel she did, she met once Samantha Enevia, who was the leader and the activist of the community. So at the beginning, of course, it was very, we're very careful, and for a long time we didn't came with a camera. So we came, we set up, and we were like having over the weekends workshops. So we were like from dance workshops through monoprinting workshops, just to get to know each other. And so we crystallized a group of 8 Traviesas who were interested in an artistic project. So really it was in a process that it was that the idea of the film came up. It wasn't really like clear from the beginning. So at the beginning, of course, there's a lot of like BBC came and did very commercial, very victimizing, like violent documentaries about them. And we really didn't want to do anthropological cinema. We didn't want to reproduce this colonial idea of coming, looking at the other, and recreating our conceptions of them, rather than like doing like, this is why performance came into place, you know, like we had a very open narrative where we created the scenes where our protagonists could really unfold themselves and through performance. So a lot of things we didn't understand in the moment because I don't speak Embera, but there was a way of we understood each other, you know, so it was, I would say, working with the doubt, working with we are 4 months there, so we shot really, really during the end of the process. So it was really a long process of, I would say, exchange between us, our different knowledges, and trying to be on the same eyesight, you know, with and not not having doing like anthropological cinema a la Jean Rouge, you know, so cinema so colonial as well, you know, so we really wanted to have a different process which was collaborative. Yeah.
And you mentioned also the performative side of the film that is very consistent, and there's a figure that is also the title of the film, Aribada, that it's a fictional character, of course. But I was curious when this character enters in your writing process, and also it was a need for you during the writing, or it was something collaborative with the Las Traviesas then to find an external character that can interact with them and try to build also the storyline in different direction that are not only observative.
So it started that the main character who plays the Aribada could not be shot because it would be dangerous for this protagonist to be seen by its like Embera community because he just fled. So a lot of the Traviesas are refugees because of their gender identity and need to flee from their communities and come to Santuario. So it's a very specific place where 80 trans women from the Embera tribes meet and created and are working in the coffee farms. So it's the only place. So it's a very specific space. And so we need to be really careful who could be shown, who not. And Doris was always part of the process, but wanted to be, but it would be too dangerous for her to be there. So this is why we worked with the mask. And throughout this restriction of the mask, we came through to the Doris was the daughter of Haibana, which is a shaman in the Embera community. And she couldn't be a shaman because she was a trans woman. So our fiction, our movie gave her the space that she could be what she wanted to be, which was denied from her because of her trans identity from her Embera community. So it was like an appropriation. We wanted the Traviesas changed the clothes as well. So their trans identity comes through their identity as well as indigenous women, and this was very important to us. And so the metaphor of this Aribada, which is this monster resurrected from the death, like what is the monster, you know, that the monster is the exclusion, like what ¿qué es el verdadero monstruo, no? Which is the real monster, and it's the exclusion. Yeah, so this is why we always wanted to work with symbols and a cosmology from within the community, saying that you can be indigenous and you can be trans, and you don't need to reject your indigeneity for being because of being trans. And this was the decision why the Aribada came into place, and it was really, really long in the process. So we wanted to have this one moment where we didn't interfere at all, and we built the stage, you know, where there are the two scenes where the Aribada is talking, and we said, this is your stage, because Doris was always filming herself, and this is we will not interfere. So it's your stage, and it was really her. She proposed this performance. We didn't interfere. We just did 6 shots, and this was it. And this is what is in the final film.
And you mentioned that one of the idea or the main approach of your artistic practice is also to decolonize cinema. And it's something important that we see in the film, all film long. But I was curious, in your creative process also, how do you think that gender identity can decolonize cinema, and what kind of thinking about gender identity can be a tool to decolonize the cinema as we know it?
So first of all, I think it's super important to understand that a lot of the rejection they face in their indigenous communities are actually already colonized ideas of gender identity and sexuality. So that the colonial project was colonization of bodies, of sexualities, and an erasure of different sexual identities. So racism and sexual identity is very intertwined with each other. And for us, it was very important to not do a wide perspectives on indigeneity, rather creating, we used a lot of Embera mythologies. For example, the waterfalls are gates to a different world, to the next world. There are different worlds in Embera cosmology. On the river are the unborn Embera. So we wanted to really visualize Embera cosmology, but not in a like this idea how narratives, Western narratives, this like very from A to B to C, very explanatory. We didn't want to do this because this would, for us, have been like colonizing narratives. So we really wanted to work with Embera narratives, which are not linear, which are experimental, which are abstract, which are work with symbols, you know, and make a translation for the camera. As well, for example, this installation which the Aribada makes on the floor is inspired by broderie and of the necklaces. So we are like, you have all the materials, Doris, make as a broderie like when you do a necklace, but on the floor with the materials we have here. And she did that, you know. So it was really yeah. So I think there are a lot of elements to it, you know, and these were a few examples to give you an idea of my perspective on our tools of decolonization in narratives and contemporary cinema.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much, Simon, for being with us. It was really a pleasure to enter into the creative process and the shooting and filming of Aribada, film that we love so much, and we are so happy to share with our audience. I will switch to Italian now. Grazie mille, Simon, per essere stato qui con noi. Io vi ricordo che la proiezione di Aribada sarà sabato 22 alle 19 con Brotherhood di Ugo Simon, e il film è presentato in anteprima italiana 3070 Doc Fest. Vi do appuntamento a un'altra intervista in avvicinamento di 3070 Doc Fest, e vi ringrazio per essere stati qui con noi.